Hey everyone, so this video is going to be going over the After Hours by The Weeknd, which I love this album so much. I think it's just a really great album and I can't wait to go over it with you. As always, you should never use my videos as a substitute for actually going listening to the albums, because the albums are absolutely worth a listen. This is probably going to be my favourite video, and if you can notice, I have a PNG now. I'm a PNGTuber. Can you believe that? It's amazing. So yeah, so today we're going to be going over the album After Hours. And After Hours is The Weeknd's fourth album. He released it in 2020. The album contains themes surrounding loneliness, heartbreak, withdrawal, infidelity and recklessness, and I just want to go over it with all of you. So the first song we have is Alone Again. This track addresses a substance abuse issue and overdose scares, and he ends up having to ask his lover to remind him who he is and help him out of a bad place. Now, I like the stories in most of these songs. However, this song in particular is a very boring song, and in fairness, the melody I'm not really a huge fan of either. Like, the vocal effect on this song sounds really weird with the auto-tune. It's just very dull, as I said, which isn't exactly the best for an album opener. So I think just for actual sound alone, not just the context, I think it would have to go in a 2, maybe just a 2. It's not the worst, it just isn't my vibe. Maybe a 1.5. I'll go with 1.5. And the next song is Too Late. It's Too Late is a song about blame taking, where we see this basically all over the album, and in this one he's asking in particular for forgiveness from his lover to help him lead he wants her to join her into leading a life full of sin with him, because it's too late for them. Now again, I love the story, but not a huge fan of the song. The verses are really slow and dull and kind of boring, but the chorus in this one is really fun, and the vocals sound amazing as always. It's still, like I said, a little bit of a boring song with slightly confusing melodies. There's a really fun build up as well, leading to the final chorus, and then it builds up all the way, and then you get really excited, and it's like, oh my god, and here's the final thing, and then it's just kind of the same chorus as the first one. It's got basically nothing to it. It leaves you wanting more and being disappointed with the outcome. It'd be like if someone offered you a sundae ice cream and they gave you a tiny teaspoon sized version of a sundae, and even though they're still technically giving you what you asked for, it's not exactly what you were expecting, and it leaves you wanting more. But so it's still decent. It's better than Alone Again, but it's only up by to 2.5. I wouldn't put it any higher. Hardest to Love. So Hardest to Love has The Weeknd reminiscing on his past behaviours in a relationship, and he kind of blames himself for the reason it didn't work out, and that's basically all that's to it. It's not really got too deep of a meaning. It's still a good meaning and a good story, but it's not got as deep of a meaning as a lot of these other songs. And the instrumental is way more fun though on this song, and it's quite upbeat. The vocals again sound great, but a major problem is still the verses. This album, not all of the songs, but there's a few songs on here that seem to have really amazing chorus, but an awful verse, or at least at the least it's very slow or dull. And that's what's happening here. Like, the whole song sounds almost exactly the same, which isn't great. It barely even changes when it gets to the middle 8. It also has a very strange ending. I feel like loads of artists nowadays just want to add really weird or stupid endings to at the end of a song, and it always sounds really awful, because it works if it's at the end of an album because it's the end of the album, but when it's at the end of a song that's literally in the almost smack bang in the middle of an album, it breaks the pace, and I don't get why he didn't just do it as an interlude, but I don't know, it's alright. It's probably on the same level as Too Late. Like, it's not good, but it's not bad either. Hi, sorry, future random here. So, I actually disagree with my points here. So, I kind of said in my thing about how the verses aren't that great, but in fact, the verses are pretty decent, to be honest. And I don't know what I was on about with how it's boring. It's quite interesting, and the confusing melodies are barely even there. Like, the bridge has a bit of one, but it's intentional and it kind of works. It's not really that confusing. I was just a bit of an idiot when I was listening to it. So yeah, it's actually a lot better than I said it was. I made it out to be. So I actually would give it probably actually a 3.5, maybe 4 instead. But that's just, yeah, so just wanted to add that in. Okay, Scared to Live. This is a very, very, very well crafted instrumental with very airy pianos. The drums aren't too in your face either, but they're not lacking at the same time. Like, you feel like they're just the perfect amount. And the lyrics are clever, and oh my god, Abel's vocals are great. There's a run in the build-up. There's like a run in the end chorus that just sounds amazing. It's where he says like, so don't be scared to live again, but he just sounds amazing, and I don't care if it was auto-tuned or not, it just sounds incredible. But you get my point, and it does just sound incredible. And the build-up in this works way better than in Too Late, because the final chorus of this song, like I just said, sounds better, and it's just louder and fuller compared to the others. So amazing song, amazing chorus, amazing verses, amazing everything. And I would give Scared to Live 4.5. Snow Child. So this song is about The Weeknd looking back at his past and addressing his past vices with drugs and women that wanted him as he was growing fame. And snow is obviously a slang term for, you know, white powdered drugs, which cements the song's commentary on The Weeknd's well-known drug-ridden past. But even though it's got a really good reason behind it, meaning and message, I'm not really a big fan of it. I think the auto-tune in his voice sounds really odd. It doesn't sound bad, it's just odd. Like, it sounds like it was mixed incorrectly, and the instrumental in this does sound good though, but the vocal delivery and lyrics just don't make it any better. It's very generic sounding. And I think for that, I'd have to give it a 2. It's just roughly there. Escape to LA. This song is about The Weeknd dismissing his partner and her infidelity within the relationship. He eventually realises that the reason their relationship hasn't been rocky isn't because they don't work together in a relationship. It's because of the fast-paced environment of LA, of course. And he concludes that they must leave the city to enjoy a good life together. Even though the instrumental on this is probably the most upbeat so far, it's so boring that I was practically falling asleep. And I don't know, it's the fact that it might also be the fact that it's like almost 6 minutes long. Like, 6 minutes? Why? It's so unnecessarily long, and it just sounds exactly the same the whole way through. And I know Abel can make good songs, so why are you making this garbage? Like, this is probably one of my least favourites, and I think it all comes down to the length of it. Like, that is a major reason. So I think for that, I'd have to give it a 1. I really don't like this song. Heartless. So this track on its own doesn't really have much story, but the music video definitely gives it a great meaning. So I want to go over the video because it's amazing. So in the video, The Weeknd is seen as he's an intoxicated gambler and a smoker, and he's in LA with Metro Boomin doing those things. And it has blindingly bright lights, which is Vegas's most memorable feature. And it surrounds the two artists the whole way through. Even in the song, you can feel it. It's got a great beat. The vocals are amazing, and his voice sounds incredible. In this song, every bit of it just sounds different from the verses to the chorus to the bridge. And the song, it also Blinding Lights as well, are the best at explaining the vibe of this album. The synth pop elements just do an amazing job at reflecting what his life has become. It showcases the flashing lights and distractions that sort of lead him away from the true hole in his heart that he needs to fill with love and compassion for others. Heartless is just a great song, and honestly, I have to give it a 5. It is incredible. It is amazing. The next song is Faith. So Faith is a somber song that explores the Weeknd's usual themes of pleasure and partying. He also opens up about his drug addiction and compares being high to losing one's religion. It's an amazing song. It sounds beautiful and is one of the best songs. It has beautiful vocals, great lyrics and rhymes, and a great beat. And the only thing that holds me back from putting this at 5 is that it just drags on for too long. It should have ended with the bit where it says, "Owe somebody to love" at around 3 minutes in, instead of carrying it on for another 3 minutes. Instead of carrying it on for another minute. And the outro just doesn't sound great. It's really annoying. It takes a shift with the drums, fading them into the mix in favour of ambient synths and sirens, and it just sounds really awful at that point. So I'd have to give it a 3.5. It would be way up here, but that outro just honestly ruins it for me. Now I'm sure this is the one that you've all been waiting for. So Blinding Lights. This song finds the Weeknd in a constant state of distraction that he only gets relief from when in the presence of a lover. It features the same vibes as Heartless, which was a commentary on how drug-filled and awful LA can be, which obviously has this too, but it's shown in a somewhat different way. In this, it's sort of shown as being a distraction to the real world, and the only thing that can get him out of it for a bit is someone he cares or loves about, which obviously emphasizes the whole message of Heartless, where he's got a hole to fill, and instead of filling it with love and compassion, which clearly is what brings him out of this world, when he doesn't have that, he just fills it with gambling and drugs and addiction and drinking, and it ruins his life. It sends him on a downward spiral, and that's amazing. This whole song is amazing. It has some of the best instrumental chops, vocals, and even fun lyrics. The chorus really complements the instrumental, like especially in the drums, and it works to create a really fun song. And it really doesn't bother me that it's popular, because at the end of the day, it's popular for a reason. And I know quite a few people who don't really like Blinding Lights, all because it's popular. And they'll say, "Oh wow, you're just being how generic, picking the basic song as one of your favourites." Yeah, because it's good. It is amazing. It's an amazing song, and I'd have to give it 5. It is so fun to listen to. So In Your Eyes, In Your Eyes has the Weeknd singing in a very vulnerable way than most of his other hedonistic songs do. He gives himself up to the feelings that he can see in his lover, and he explains how it's making him feel so that he can then try and explain how he feels with her. It's just a really fun song with a fun instrumental. It's got a really cool story as well in the video, where it's about him he's a murderer, and the girl in the song that he's like, "In your eyes, I can see how terrified you are and how you don't think this is going to work." But he changes that for the video, where he's actually just a killer and she's trying to avoid him. I think that's just really fun. And of course, we can't ignore the saxophone. Oh my god, that sax! It's beautiful, and it's just such a good way to end the song. It's so satisfying. It's amazing. So In Your Eyes, that's another 5 out of 5. Save Your Tears. So in this song, the Weeknd addresses his past relationships and he recollects on the experiences that he went through with his partners. He's looking at one experience in particular for this song, in which he He made his partner feel awful, and instead of being sympathetic or guilty, he instead provides no emotional support for his ex and blames them, saying, "You should have known," which is a great way of showing a manipulating it's a really good manipulation tactic that a lot of partners will use, and the way it's spread out in this darker and muddier track in the middle of the album is just incredible. The song is so fun to listen to, which obviously makes it even better by the fact that the lyrics juxtapose the upbeat sound of the 80s synth. It's a great song with great lyrics, a great story, and amazing vocals, and it's another that I have to give a 5 out of 5 to. Repeat After Me interlude. This song features The Weeknd gesticulating that their lover repeat after him, essentially brainwashing them into loving him even after they've split and she's with a new boyfriend. The track has synth and psychedelia heavy production from Tame Impala, which is probably why I personally think it's really boring and sounds kind of bad, but I guess that's sometimes to be expected from an interlude. You don't really expect the best. It does have some nice vocals though from The Weeknd, but it sounds the same the whole way through, and for a 3-minute interlude it's not the best. The outro instrumental sounds really good though, great choice in that department, so I'd have to give this maybe a 3. I'd actually bump Faith up to a 4. After Hours addresses a failed relationship that ended in heartbreak, and it's an apology letter for any of his past lovers and mistakes, because he's desiring reconciliation with them. The song has very dark vibes and altered vocals over hard-hitting production, which are very reminiscent of The Weeknd's earlier music. The drum at the start though sounds awful, including the vocals, and they just sound really weird. Like, for some reason, The Weeknd seems to pick his, worst songs to be the really long ones that are dragged out for absolutely no reason. Around 2 minutes 30 is when the song kind of picks up and becomes more interesting. It still has the annoying drums and vocals, but they're more drowned out with everything else toppled on with it. The chorus at 3 minutes in is really good, but the rest of the song is just really, really mid, and I'd have to give this a 2. It's an awful song to sort of have as your lead song of the album. But now on to the final one. Until I Bleed Out describes the end of The Weeknd's journey throughout the album, with the album's ending signifying that The Weeknd's body has ran out of blood. The blood obviously being a metaphor for him giving away every last ounce of effort and emotion he can to ventures he has undergone over the record, leaving him unable to push forward any further for his relationship he consistently talks about on this album. It's a very slow and dull song, but the topic of it makes it very interesting to listen to. It's a song on here that I can respect, but I probably wouldn't ever have it in my playlist, so for the respect out of it, I would give it a 4, but for song wise, I'd probably give it a 3. I love this album a lot. It's a drug-fueled journey through the 80s with a modern sound and twist added to it. It uses really thick kick drums and incredible synths to accentuate just how well produced this album is. In Your Eyes and Blinding Lights, they're incredible modern dance pop tracks, and that sax just sounds genuinely beautiful. If Starboy told us that The Weeknd could be a pop star, After Hours showed his potential to be the biggest one. It has some lower points with the album, but the songwriting and musical elements show that The Weeknd can make something good enough to be mainstream and still keep his artistic integrity. So thank you for joining me on this journey of After Hours. I've most certainly enjoyed it. So I have 3 other videos which you can see in the playlist just to my left, and right above me you should be getting a video that's recommended towards you. Please go check out my podcast. We have a new episode coming out next week, and I really want you guys to actually check it out because it's really fun, and I had so much fun with the first one. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye!